Hey fellow Fright Fiends, before I start this video, I wanted to give a big shout out to my buddies Brian and Rich over at Fright Time. A little over 2 weeks ago, I was on their podcast, which is on Facebook. We talked about horror collectibles and what got me into collecting. They reached out to me back in April when I was really having a hard time. I was really depressed. I was really dealing with a lot of depression and anxiety. It wasn't a good time for me. But just them reaching out and asking me if I wanted to be a part of this awesome podcast that they have, I just said, yeah, absolutely. Even in the state I was. And I'm telling you, that is one of the things that really pulled me out of my funk. It was a blast talking to them. We talked for over an hour. They do this podcast every week. It's called Fright Time. It says witness true terror live every Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern. Reviews, auctions, and much more madness. Fright Time, hosted by the Gruesome Twosome. Facebook.com/Fright Time Official, the greatest horror show on earth. So I wanted to showcase that. And also the shirt they got me. They sent me this shirt. I don't know if you guys can see it real well. Yeah, awesome. And on the back, you guys can see it. It says Fright Time right there. Yeah, so just absolute blast. And they sent me a nice little note. It says, thank you for joining us and showing your collection. Thanks for your support, the Gruesome Twosome. Just awesome. Guys, thank you so much for sending me this shirt. And I wanted to make sure I showed you some love before I start my video. So thanks so much. Support the Gruesome Twosome and Fright Time. Link down below. You won't regret it. They're awesome. Every Friday they're doing a show, and it's absolutely fantastic. And now, without further ado, here we go.
Boogeyman band coming round the bend. Is Boogeyman band. Is Boogeyman band.
Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone. I hope everyone's doing well. This is going to be my review of the sequel, A Quiet Place Part 2. Now, this is a film that was supposed to come out last year, but of course, thanks to COVID-19, it got pushed out like every other movie last year. This is one that I got to see in the movie theater, which was fantastic. It's the second movie theater going experience of my year, the first being Spiral, of course. This is a follow-up to the 2018 film, A Quiet Place, a film that I gave a stellar review to, and I was so excited to see this one on the big screen. Following the events at home, the Abbott family now face the terrors of the outside world. Forced to venture into the unknown, they realize that the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threats lurking beyond the sand path. The film stars Emily Blunt as Evelyn Abbott, Millicent Simmons as Reagan Abbott, Cillian Murphy as Emmett, John Krasinski as Lee Abbott, Noah Jupe as Marcus Abbott, and the movie was written and directed by John Krasinski. So like I said, 2018's A Quiet Place is a fantastic film. I am saddened to say that I haven't watched this film that many times, and actually I meant to revisit the original film before seeing the new one. But for a film that I haven't watched that much in the last couple of years, because I've only watched it maybe 2 or 3 times since it was released 3 years ago. That being said, it was really sort of seamless for me to fall back into the Quiet Place universe and get back in touch with these characters without even having seen this film in recent times. The film is just amazing. I think it's one of the best horror sequels ever made. I am blown away by John Krasinski, who I've always been a fan of, mostly known for his comedy, of course, on The Office. He was in the movie It's Complicated. But I had no idea just what amazing talent this guy has. Much like Jordan Peele, it just blows me away what these guys can do with these stories and these horror movies, these original concepts. And the fact that he wrote and directed this and reprises his role for a brief period of time in the film, the guy is just phenomenal. I'm so glad that I heard that there is going to be a third film in this franchise. The Quiet Place Part 2 is the best film I've seen this year. It has blown me away, and it's a film that has stuck with me several days after seeing it. The opening scene to this film just is fantastic. You might have seen clips of it in the trailers. You have no idea just how amazing that it is choreographed with the alien creatures first coming to Earth, and just the way that the action plays out. It is breathtaking. It is emotional. Hooked us right away, my wife and I, when we were watching it. Just what an amazing kickoff to an astounding movie. Like I said, Krasinski really knocks it out of the park with this one, taking on the writing and the directing duties. The fact that the character of Lee, you know what happens because of the first film. The fact that he's really only in the opening setup His presence is just felt throughout the entire movie, and that is just terrific writing. Also, cannot say enough great things about the amazing performances in this film, specifically Emily Blunt as Evelyn, Millicent Simmons as Reagan, who blew me away in the first one, and as well as the character of Emmett, featuring Cillian Murphy, who I'm a huge fan of. All three of them just were absolutely fantastic. Their performances were so emotional and intense, and I just loved every time they were on screen. Just absolutely fantastic. There's some terrific set pieces in this, very intense. These alien creatures are still absolutely terrifying, and they're not shown that much, which I think heightens the tension. And Krasinski is really good about building that tension, which I think a lot of horror filmmakers don't do nowadays, and I'm glad to see that that's what he is doing. And I think that the other strength of this film is exploring this world more. The first one was very condensed. It was on the farm. That's where it took place. That's where all the action took place. This is the world. I mean, they're going further away from their home, their safe place. So there's much more things that can happen to them. There's a lot more threats and danger out there. And I thought that was really interesting to see that aspect of it as well. And of course, one final thing I want to say is the music by Marco Beltrami, who returns again. Fantastic music. I can't say enough great things about this film. Go out and see this film. Absolutely see it in the theater. It's amazing. Don't wait for it to come out on DVD and Blu-ray. This is a movie-going experience, and much like the first one, when I talked about my review for the first film, this theater was quiet in parts where you're just, you know they have to be quiet because of the creatures and even some of the set pieces that involve other people that have survived this invasion. Just intense, amazing. Cannot say enough great things about this film. Absolutely blown away. The best film of 2021, in my opinion. Easily, A Quiet Place Part 2 gets 5 skulls. And again, I just can't say enough great things about this film. So yeah, go out and see it. Quiet Place Part 2. Just as great as the first film. Thanks so much for watching Quiet Place Part 2. Go out and see it in the theaters. If you have seen it, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Did you love it as much as I did? Did you hate it? Did you think it was better than the first film? Just curious to hear what people think. Thanks so much again for watching, and I promise I'll talk to you again real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always.